Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We are a full service CX and UX consultancy. And as you can tell from the way the stream started, I am totally unprepared. Over in our Slack universe, one of our low ego action heroes, who I won't name, found a UX conference, and we were trying to figure out who's behind this conference. We've never heard of the conference. The website was very unclear about who runs the conference. We started digging. We went down a rabbit hole, and then I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be live on YouTube right now. I'm like, hi Ekta. So hi everybody. I'm still turning on all my equipment and testing all the settings. So but of course this is office hours. Ask me anything. You can ask me anything at deltacx.link, as well as in the YouTube chat and the LinkedIn chat. And now I'm going to open up the video ask stuff, which is where the deltacx.link/ask goes. We did get some questions ahead of time, so I'm going to start with those as soon as I open up all of my systems and screens, and then we'll get ready. If you have questions, please get them in now so that they are next. Hello, Vazia. Am I doing that right? Vazia. Someone please help me here. All right. Hey, Solomon. All right. So the friends are here, and sorry again for that strange start to the stream. It was like me staring into space, forgetting to push the button that starts the theme song. I'm like, what's going on? Hi, Saeem. So yeah, get your questions in. We do have three long questions that showed up already. So we'll start with those, and then I will take yours. And I'm usually here about an hour. So send those questions in. So here's the first question that I got. Suggestions for how to wiggle your way into an agile team that uses features to list out requirements. I know this project needs extreme task analysis, persona-based to improve their legacy system, Larry Marine's micro lesson kind of one. This feature-based process is stifling any significant design improvements we could make. I've suggested twice, tried my best to explain it, but it gets lost along the way. They're just focusing on usability testing to make improvements. Ugh. I'm a lone UX contractor stuck in a very slow business client, but wildly fast development team. Thank you, Vazia. Okay, so to the person who wrote this, again, I'm always happy to give advice on how you can try to create change in your team or in your organization, but I also do exist in reality, and I know that sometimes no matter what we say or do, there isn't going to be anything that can change what happens in our organization. There are just organizations who don't want to change, and it's not your fault if you weren't able to convince them or find the right words. Oh, we're getting the Don Norman emoji. So first of all, if you can't create change, just make sure you're not blaming yourself. Another thing is, if you really think that you're not going to be able to make any headway there, and if the job is disappointing, you can start looking for other jobs. Just make sure that in the interview process, you're asking questions so you know you don't end up in the same frying pan. You know, do designers and engineers wait for the outcomes of research? What's our approach to research? What's our process? So in a case like this, what I normally try to do is get my manager's attention. If you have a UX manager, that's great. But if you're the lone UX person, then you probably have a non-UX manager. You might answer to engineering or product or sometimes even marketing. And again, the downside there is that sometimes those people get you and they care about UX, but very often they don't get you and they think it's more important for us to work efficiently, but they don't understand that moving fast now isn't as efficient as we pretend, because we might have to fix it later, and that's going to be not efficient. So I think I would probably say, and I just drank, so this qualifies, episode 116. If you haven't seen episode 116, it is long, and maybe you can watch it faster than 1x, but I would say see if there's anything in episode 116 that can help you make your case to these people for research being business intelligence and risk mitigation. Especially, I find that a lot of people ask questions like yours and they say, oh, everyone is so feature driven and they just want to go by the business goals and requirements and blah, blah, blah. And I go, okay, that definitely stinks and it doesn't sound customer centric. But do you have any examples of where that went badly? Are there any stories or folklore of that time we released that thing and all hell broke loose, or we had to roll it back, or we had to fix it later at great cost and time and delaying something else? Sometimes you have to trot out that disaster project to say, look, this is something that wouldn't have happened if we had understood better up front what was going to be right for our customers. And that's why this is business intelligence. It can help inform our strategies and decisions, and it's not just a nice to have. This is what the best companies out there do. The companies you admire the most do these things. Oh, I see a few more questions coming in. Let me get them copied and pasted onto my list to make sure that you are going to get an answer at some point. So we've got X's question. Destiny says, risk mitigation, usually the best way to get them on your side. Tell them how much time and money we wasted on the last project we did like that. Natalia on LinkedIn, I see your question. I'm going to get that on the list too. Sorry you're at the bottom of the list, but you are on the list. So again, I would say the short version is watch episode 116. There are a lot of different ideas in there. I'm hoping some of them will help you out. It is a 2.5-hour show, so it's like a mini conference, but hopefully it will help you out. And of course, if you have any follow-up questions, you're always welcome to track me down, especially on Slack. I do hang out in our Slack workspace. I'm sorry, I've been sitting in this chair all day. Maybe I should just stand up a little bit. Well, okay, so my camera is not quite right for the height. I will have to do squats. So I would say try that out. If you need more help, I'm always in Slack, and I'm happy to answer some short questions for free. Slack is at deltacx.link/join Slack. It's completely free. There's no monthly or annual membership fee, and you are welcome to join. We have about 100 very active people there and 700 lurkers, or people who come and go as they need help. So come on and join us there and get peer help as well. We definitely want to help you out. Everybody there is super helpful. The 3 not helpful people I threw out. So there you go. So again, episode 116 might have your answers. I hope you can please make the time to check it out and then see what follow-up questions you have beyond that. But again, if you cannot make change, remember it's not your fault, and you might just need to look for the next thing. It happens. Let's see. I see a question from Saim, so let me put that on the list too. And let's go to the second question that I received ahead of time. And let me check if questions are coming in. Nope. Okay. Not yet. Okay, so questions coming in from the chat room. And let's take a look. Okay, next question that came in ahead of time says, hi Debbie, when I unveil a persona at an upcoming team meeting, my boss wants me to skip over the intro slides that explain the context of the research process and go straight to the persona and guide the attending team members through a discussion. I will distribute the slide deck to the team prior to the meeting. Aside from the usual Q&A and a brief outline of next steps, I'm unfamiliar with any other type of discussion for a deliverable readout. It sounds like something I have to facilitate, preparing questions or instructions for the team in advance. How or what would you recommend for the most productive results? So, lovely question. Thank you to the anonymous person who asked this. One of our low ego action heroes will remain anonymous. And so if I am sure that the team knows the methodology that I use to obtain the persona, I guess you could leave it out, but I think I would probably still end up putting in one quick slide just saying, here's how I got here. I wouldn't go deep into it. One slide, no more than 1 minute speaking to it, super short version. But even if the answer here is 0 slides, because that's been the specific request for you, then the question is, what is the discussion? I think the discussion I would lead is, how do we use this thing? What are we going to do with this persona? How do we utilize this? What can product do with this persona? What could marketing do with this persona? What can engineering do with this persona? What does having this persona or set of personas now mean for us? Where is the meaning and the action and the help? Now that we have this persona, what are we going to do with this? How does this inform things we're going to do next? How does this set us up to know who to recruit for our testing? So I would be advising people on what they can do with this persona. If you're having trouble coming up with that, then it probably means the persona might not be meaningful, actionable, and helpful, and maybe wasn't totally worth it. But assuming you've got some good actionable personas, and hopefully they've got some aspect of them that looks at task or workflow, as we talked about in the micro lessons video on, what did we call them? Task analysis personas. So hopefully you've got something in there that is meaningful and actionable and helps people see, now that we have this persona and we have this information about this audience, and it shifts us away a little bit from some of those marketing demographics or assumptions we made about these people. Here's what you do with them. Maybe if you have something previous that was based on assumptions, you can say, aha, see how we went in a bit of a wrong direction here when we made these assumptions about our audience. But now that we have this persona or set of personas, now we have much better ideas about our audience. We have better clarifications on them. We can now make some better, see if you can come up with a way to say, here's how we can guide some strategic decisions. Here's how we can prioritize better because we understand these people better. So that's probably the direction I would be going in to when I deliver personas. I really want to make sure people understand what can they do with personas. And that's typically the type of thing I'm presenting no matter what the deliverable is. Now that here's my deliverable, here's how we did it, and here's what you can do with this. And it's not shove it. So here's what you can do with this that is meaningful, actionable, and helpful. Destiny, I see your question. Let me copy and paste that to the end under Saim's question. And now I'm standing, so that feels better. All right, next question that came in ahead of time, thanks to the people sending in questions ahead of time at deltacx.link/ask. And it sounds like this. I think this is the question that came in ahead of time, right? This isn't from today. No, today's first one is ECTA. Okay. Tips for dealing with a not-so-great manager. I'm having a hard time at work as the only researcher on a team that doesn't see the value of research beyond user. Wait, did I read this already? No, this one feels familiar. I feel like I read this one already. All right, let's read it anyway, because I'm having deja vu. Did I dream this one? Every day feels like fighting an uphill battle of people pushing for things to be done as quickly as possible, which leaves me feeling like there's no way for me to get ahead of design and engineering decisions and make sure my research actually has influence. I look to my manager for guidance, but she isn't so helpful. She joined the company only a few months before I did, is also new to the way things work here, and as time goes on, also seems to be pretty stressed out with her own personal workload. When we have a one-to-one and I tell her I feel stressed, she just sort of agrees with me. But at this point, I don't necessarily need someone to agree with me. I need someone to help me. Any advice on what I can do? Yeah, so first of all, I would say that your manager is probably not a great manager. I'm sorry that she might be stressed out or having trouble adjusting to whatever is going on there. But to me, there's never a good reason or excuse to not support your reports, to not support your peeps, and to not take action on the things that are troubling them or struggles for them or not working for them. So first of all, I don't want to make too many excuses for your manager. This is what a manager does. I'm sorry she's stressed. I'm sorry she has other work to do, but she still has to take care of you. So, number one, I'm sorry. This usually means you're probably not going to stay too long. You know, you always see things go by on LinkedIn that say, people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. If this is not going to improve, then you might be leaving this manager and this job. So first of all, if it comes to that, we support you. The low ego action heroes are here for you. But when you have a not so great manager, you're probably not going to be able to change that person. That person is going through whatever they are going through. Usually we just have to reset our expectations, try a few more times, and then say, this doesn't seem to get better. Now, as for all the things that are going on outside of this with all the engineering rushing, again, I talk about that how many times a day on this channel? I can only keep saying episode 116, everybody drink. Or seeing if you can create a watch party around the video in the conference sessions playlist called Improving Agility by using customers' definitions of quality and done. I think it might have been episode 109, and I also put it in the conference sessions playlist. That one's aimed at non-UX people, and that's a good watch party one, runs about an hour or so. Yeah, again, this is something that normally requires some managerial intervention. And so it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, here's the magic bullet of how you get everybody to start appreciating research and leaving room for your influence. Again, we're going to go with business intelligence and risk mitigation. See episode 116 and try that. But I wouldn't be surprised if you're also polishing up your CV or resume and applying, and I would say apply aggressively. And if you get to talk to HR on your way out, tell them what's going on. Tell them there is no room at your job for you to do your job because other people are off and running and not waiting for you to do your work, and they're circumventing you and bypassing you, and your manager is too stressed out to help you. So this apparently this company doesn't really want what you do, so I'm going to try to move to one that does. If you want to stay because there's things you like about it or you hope it'll get better, you certainly can. But remember, it doesn't always have that happy ending. I wish it did. I'll sit back down. So again, sorry about that. I feel like we get that one at least once a week. And it's just a reminder of how difficult jobs are out there. I hope all of the newbies and UX want to be newbies out there, just in my microphone, are listening to this, because this is what real jobs are like day to day. These people who write to me with these questions aren't weirdos. They're not anomalies. This is the norm. So be careful out there. This is some tough stuff. And of course, if the chat room has any advice for any of these people, please jump in. But this is all I can think of in a way. Let's see. Am I missing any questions? Okay, let's move to the next one, which is Ekta's question. Oop, I'm pressing the wrong copy paste. Give me a moment. All right, let's scroll back and put her up on the screen. And she says, when do you inform participants that you're going to need them to use Zoom on their laptop and or phone? Have you had anyone say, I don't want to use Zoom? So normally I am telling, that is part of when I book the session with them. So typically when we've done the recruiting and now we're reaching out to people to book the session, we say, for example, this is a 1 hour Zoom session. We're going to pay you 50 squids. And we are going to require you to use Zoom and share your screen. Please allow a little extra time if you haven't used Zoom before and might need some help with it, or especially people on Macs. If you need to download Zoom to your phone and share your phone screen, I would just set up those expectations when you are booking the sessions. And that way, if for some reason somebody doesn't want to do that, or it feels too technically then they can make that decision when booking the session and hopefully say, you know what, never mind, I won't book a session. That doesn't work for me. So I would let people know anytime I need people to use a particular technology or share their screen or camera must be on or things like that, I make sure that I'm setting that expectation nice and early when I am scheduling them. I hope that helps. If anybody has follow-up questions, even to a question you didn't ask, you are allowed to ask it. Doesn't have to be your question. Quick comment from N-Girl VIP. Hello, N-Girl. I want to say I'm super happy I found you on LinkedIn. I love the content you share. Thank you. Thank you for joining in. Thank you very much. And I see we have a question coming in through the video ask system from a new friend. And I will copy paste that onto the list of questions, the growing list of questions. All right, so here is our next question. And N-Girl, I see your question. We'll put that on the end of the list and we will get to it. Okay, the next question is, I think it came in through the chat. Let's take a look. Okay, this is Saim's question, so we can put Saim up on the screen. And it says, hi, Debbie. No, this is, oh, I'm sorry, wrong question. We have someone before you. Oops, please hold. This one says, I didn't forget you. Sorry, so there's a question before you, and it says, hi, Debbie. Can you advise how to deal with a client in the freelance field who is changing the project scope every week? Thanks. And that came from LinkedIn, so I can't put it up on the screen. And John from LinkedIn said, charge them. Now, I would definitely agree with John and say charge them, but part of the problem is very often freelancers have not set up a contract that allows them to charge. And so now they feel like, uh-oh, I can't say or do anything. This person claims they want something else. I'm just going to have to do it. So this kind of pushes us back towards what kind of contract do you have? What are the terms of this arrangement? And for that, I would recommend, who remembers the episode number? Was it episode 8? 15, 11, some episode way back in the archives of the YouTube channel, something 20 pounds ago, I did a whole thing on freelancing and contracting contracts and what you need to have in there to protect yourself. So for example, my contract specifically says, this is the work we're doing. If you change that, it might change the timing, it might change the pricing. I have the right to pause the project and redo the quote. And if you agree to it in writing, I'll do it and you'll pay for it. And if you don't agree to it, it doesn't happen. So my best advice is you're going to have to go by what your contract says, because in the end, contracts rule all. If you had to go to court or sue each other or whatever, it can't be, but Deb on her YouTube channel said I should do this. It's got to be what the contract dictates is the relationship between the two of you. Now, if for some reason you made the mistake of not having a contract, then you are in a tough spot, because you don't have anything that gives you the right to say, if you change, then here's the nature of this project. This is the plan or the scope or the Gantt chart or whatever it is. Here's what we're doing. And if it's not listed here, it's out of scope. And if you change your mind, this changes. If you don't have that, it's very hard to deal with this. If you do have an agreement that says you get to charge by the hour, then hypothetically, this person can change their mind every week. You work another week, you bill those hours. If this person is expecting you to not charge for their changes of mind, then this is probably an abusive, toxic person. You're welcome to show them this video. And it would be a really good reason to have that contract, because especially with, I find that the most abusive, toxic people refuse to sign contracts or claim, we're not going to need a contract. You're just making some web pages for me. And then they make sure that they take advantage of you and pull all this funky stuff. And I've helped people get out of more than one of these very bad situations, because in many cases, it's not on your side. It can be hard for you to win that one. So I would say if they keep changing the project scope, I would document everything and just make sure I have a record of this is what you asked, so this is what I did, and this is how I'm billing you. And if they go, oh, but now I want this now, I say, that's fine. I'm just going to write up this little thing that says you're asking for this now. It's probably going to take this many hours, and I'm going to charge this much for it, and you agree to pay for that. I sometimes find that when I present clients with that, magically they don't want that change anymore. So I would say this is an example of where having a good contract is going to probably make or break this, and probably dictate what you can and can't do. If this person becomes too abusive and is acting like they don't want to pay for their own changes of mind, I would quit. There is no reason to keep this person around. This is not going to be a good job reference, and this is probably not going to be a great portfolio project if it's a moving target and you can't even pin what it is. I see Owen's question. We'll add that to the bottom of the list. I hope that helps. Please ask a follow-up question if there's anything else I can do, but I would say track down my video on freelancing and contracting so that at least in the future, this time it might be lesson learned, especially if you did not have a contract or you just had a simple email saying, yeah, I agreed to do this thing. Now have a real contract. In the video, I read through my entire contract and I talk about why you need every clause in there, but you should have a proper lawyer. Make sure the contract is appropriate to your region. My contract is appropriate to Arizona, but not necessarily any other region. So good time to throw some money at a lawyer and get this right so that you have rights and you can exercise them. Good luck. All right, now back to Saeem. Sorry about that. Take two. Okay, so Saeem says, which is a good reference, Debbie's recommendation, for quantitative research methods? I'm specifically looking for statistical analysis on task times for a given sample size. Ooh, I wish Larry were here. I think he does more of that stuff than I do. Larry, are you here? Testing, testing. Statistical analysis on the task times for a given sample size. Well, I think that really depends on what type of statistical analysis will help your team or company. Are they looking for standard deviation? Are they looking for a certain confidence level? How statistical and analytical are we getting? Or is it mostly the quantitative look at X% of people accomplish the task in this range of time, Y% in this range of time? For some people, that's a good enough piece of information to show that some people are accomplishing this well or not well. And you also have to have some sort of baseline, like out of all of these numbers, which numbers are good and which numbers are bad, or which numbers are good, which numbers are troubling, and which numbers are bad for the time on the task. So I probably don't have a great answer here. It would really depend on what kind of information the people at your company tend to be looking for, what kind of information would be, you know what I'm going to say, meaningful, actionable, and helpful. What statistics or analysis can we come up with about that time on task that's going to help everybody understand what's going right or wrong and what we can do about it? So I don't have like a perfect answer there, but I hope I've given you something to think about, and maybe you will go in a good direction. Thank you for asking. Okay, next question is from good friend Destiny. And I see a new question coming in anonymously. We will get yours on the list. Destiny says, how do you let your project manager know they are not giving enough time for a full UX process? Have a friend that as a project manager dictate timeline, document your process? ? Yeah, that is another tough one. And again, there's always videos on the channel that I hope will help people here. The first question is, do they understand a full UX process? Do they understand the benefits of doing research? Do they understand the benefits of certain information architecture work and tasks? Do they understand the benefits of anything other than interaction design and prototyping? So that's the first question. Like, what level are we starting at when it comes to educating this project manager? Do they understand the UX process and what we do and why? Because you might be stuck explaining that to them. And then you can try to come in with all of the fanfare of episode 116. and try to remind them that we are all about business intelligence and risk mitigation. We're not just about making things pretty or saying the button goes there. It's really about trying to save everybody time and effort so that we're much closer to building the right thing for the target customers the first time. So, I also push very, very hard for project managers to collaborate with UX in the earliest of planning. If engineers get to estimate their time, why aren't we estimating our time? So I think I would just go to that project manager, and even if they don't understand the UX process, say, look, it doesn't make sense for you to estimate my time. You might not even understand what I'm doing or why. This really needs to be more of a collaboration. Try throwing that word out there. You know, it can't be engineers get all the time they want and UX gets the crumbs that are left over. That's not going to allow me to do my best work. And I'm here to do my best work. And so make sure we're collaborating nice and early on what's going on in this project so that I can estimate the time that I need. And if we plan this early enough, you should be able to give me the time I need, because that would be agile. That would be lean. It would be lean to allow me to utilize my talent correctly. And it would be agile to get the best work out of me so that I'm helping to set up engineering for success. Let's see, something says LinkedIn user. I think some of you know that sometimes I don't see names. So I'm going to have to drop in to the LinkedIn, to my own LinkedIn, to see who posted what they just posted, because it says LinkedIn user. Sean! Oh, Sean, it's not giving me your name. Sean, hi, I'm happy to see you. I'm sorry you're having a rough week. If you think there's anything that we can help with, drop in a question or send it anonymously. deltacx.link/ask, which reminds me to jump over to our anonymous questions and grab another one that came through. Please hold. Let's copy and paste that. This is a one-woman show. I have to press all the buttons, everybody. This question says text. Well, I will not be answering your question. It is text. You are correct. All right, consider that one done. All right, going back to actual questions, let's take a look at our next one. And this is a long one. Somebody wants to piggyback on this question. Sometimes that's a good idea before I jump to the next question. Let me refresh LinkedIn and just see who it's from. Oh, Swetha, hey, good to see you. I feel like I just saw you. I wanted to piggyback on this question. What questions can candidates ask in an interview to understand design maturity at a company? You know what? That's not totally piggybacking. That is kind of a fresh question, so I'm going to add it to the end. But heads up, we are doing an entire show about that in September with Julia DeBari as our guest. Yay! Also, everybody, please tell your friends to subscribe here. We are planning some really cool panel discussions, one in August and one in September, with people working in UX to tell you what working in UX is really like. That's going to be great for all of the boot campers and hopefuls. I think we need to talk about this more, honestly. Okay, so your question's now at the end. Now let's go back to this other question. I am a business intelligence analyst working on a product that involves dashboards for higher management within our company. I've been asking for a UX specialist for almost a year. IT finally assigned one. Over the past year, I was able to do user research because of the support of a great manager who saw the value. Hooray. Can we just have a hooray? And took a few steps into UX. Now, after a year, finally a UX specialist is joining only for 1 day a week. How do I make sure that I support him as much as possible? What are the key things that I could do from my side to ensure that UX is making a real impact in this project? Super question, and congratulations on the mini UX you've been doing. Hopefully high quality. And on finally getting a UX specialist, though I'm sorry that person has been allocated at what sounds like 15%. That is tough. So let's take a look at this. So first of all, my question is, For the research that you did, do you have a sense of the best research that you can do here, in my opinion, is the workflow or tasks that will happen around these dashboards or visualizations? What sparks the higher management to need to look at the dashboard? What information do they need to see? How do they need to slice it or rearrange it or sort it or filter it? And then what do they usually need to do after? Is there a decision that has to be made? Is there a report that has to be written? Is there action that has to be taken? If we can understand that about these end users, even though it's our own management, then we're setting up whoever is doing that UX design. I assume this is a UX designer and not necessarily a researcher. We can set that UX designer up for success. Now, hopefully it's a UX designer who has some familiarity with data visualizations or different types of charts and graphs, and they're not just going to try to use the easiest graph that we would throw on Instagram to say something cute. Usually when it's higher management, these people have often graduated college, they may have done grad school, they may have done an MBA, they might be expecting more complicated or multidimensional charts and graphs and visualizations. So it's not about making the simplest donut we can, it's about making sure the information is, who can guess, meaningful, actionable, and helpful based on the tasks and the workflows that these managers have when they need to access this data. So I would say if you have this information, you can set your UX guy up for success by passing this information to him. If you do not have this information, see if your manager will allow you to do some more interviews or even observations of these managers to see what are they doing now, where do they get this information, what's going right or wrong, what do they need to do with it. Because again, Larry Marine will tell you if he were here, a big mistake on a lot of dashboards is people think that well, just show them information, but you're forgetting the larger task, and we're all about the task here at Delta CX. So what sparked people needing to see this dashboard or this information? What do they need to see, which is, that's what we're going to design. And then what do they have to do after? So can we set them up for success with that after by something we design into those visualizations? I hope that helps. It's a neat question, and good luck, and let us know how it goes. We had a question in the chat room. Let's roll back. This is from N-Girl, and it says, I would like to ask what you think about doing a master's, academic or professional, to improve my design skills and lead to better UX positions in the industry, but not in academia. Thanks. Nick says, hi, Debbie, rock on. Back at you, Nick. Always good to see you. Nick was on one of our shows last year. I don't remember what number, but it was a great show. I'm happy to see you, Nick. So what do I think about doing a master's to improve your design skills and lead to better UX positions in the industry? I personally believe that while some master's degrees out there are good programs, there are unfortunately a lot that I've been unimpressed by. They can be very expensive, and sometimes they are highly academic, and I'm not necessarily sure you're going to come out a much better designer. Sometimes they are trying to teach you a lot about a little, or a little about a lot. I guess that's what I was shooting for, a little about a lot. And so you end up, working a bit on research and working a bit on information architecture and working a bit on library sciences and working a bit on this. And I haven't seen too many that just say, you know what, we're going to spend 2 freaking years making you a better designer. I believe that the better way, though it doesn't mostly exist, unfortunately, would be to be an apprentice somewhere. To me, there's no better way to learn UX than to be doing it under a great mentor or coach. And I specify great mentor or coach because, as Nick and I can tell you, there aren't that many great mentors and coaches out there. There are a lot of people with very little UX experience saying that they are mentors and coaches, and I think that is unfortunate and deceptive, maybe abusive. So you can certainly get a master's if you would like to, but remember that a lot of jobs say 1 year of real work experience required. And many of them don't count your master's degree as work experience. So you can go and get your master's and hopefully have upskilled yourself and become better at stuff, know better principles and how to apply those principles, move yourself up on my famous triangle that we haven't seen in a while, my phases of proficiency, move yourself up deep into the strategy and technique universe, not just I like to push things around in Figma building blocks. But if jobs really mostly want people who can then say, I've got a year of work experience, where do you get that? And that's why I'm trying to challenge people more and more as they're looking at boot camps or university degrees. Is there a bridge from whatever education that thing has provided you into an apprenticeship or internship, into some sort of real work that will give you a soft place to land and a good place to practice, and then get you ready for your first job? Because a lot of people don't know, and maybe we should have Nick back on the show for another panel on what real day-to-day UX work is like, because it's not necessarily all the stars and rainbows that many newbies think it is. How are we going to get you job ready? Because so many jobs want that 1 or more years of experience, even for a junior, because very often we're put on projects alone. It's not like boot camps or some schools where it's like, me and 4 of my friends are going to do this project. What really happens is it's you in a vacuum, in the chamber of silence, trying to do the project. And that's why we need the person who's done this before and can hit the ground running. Nick says would love to. Great. I'm thinking about maybe October. And we also have Sophie Fryermuth thing. So I'm going to write down Nick on my paper here. Nick Morgan panel. I want to do a bunch of these. I really want lots of people to hear what day-to-day UX work is like and how it is. Nick, would you say it's all stars and rainbows and we're just delighting users all damn day with no end in sight? Because that's not what I hear. So N-Girl, I hope that helps you. I would say master's degree optional, but the real question is, where are you going to get the experience? Where are you going to get that apprenticeship or internship? Where's that bridge to that early supportive coaching based work that will get you ready for the junior job that requires the work experience? So Nick goes, always. We're always delighting the users, just constantly. There's no conflict. All right, Charlene says, I'm super late. No problem. We started without you. I hope you don't mind. All right, next question is from Owen. Thank you for waiting, Owen. You asked 17 minutes ago, and I'm just getting there now, but that's the way this show goes. Sorry if you've heard this a million times. What is your thoughts of years experience directly in UX for designers or researchers before senior? Happy to answer that. In general, I find that many companies doing it right. Let's start with that, because I have seen people called senior after 1 year. I'm going to go with not doing it right. If I think you're doing it right, I tend to think that senior comes around 5 years. I do sometimes see people with 3 or more years being given senior. I do worry that that's premature and that they might have leapfrogged over junior or mid-level. It doesn't mean they're undeserving of it, but it also means if lead is often the next step and it's often 7+ years and you got senior at 3, you're going to be at senior a while until you get your next promotion, and that might make you grumpy. So the usual plan, at least that I recommend, has people being promoted roughly every 2 years. So usually junior, and then mid-level is usually at 2 years. And then you're usually mid-level for 2 years, then you're usually senior, not 2 years, mid-level is a little bit longer, and then senior usually 5 years, lead often 7. But again, these aren't in stone. These are the way that I approach these and the way that I think that it's being done well. I do not want to give people any overinflated titles. I do worry about people with 2 years of experience that are now lead this and that. Or, of course, I've even seen 3 years of experience, head of UX. Holy cats. that is a highly strategic and operational job, and you're really just still starting in UX. So holy cats. Solomon says, smack my head, senior after doing it wrong for 3 years. Well, look, we don't know if they're doing it wrong, but we do know that senior after 3 years is a little bit low. Remember, they say what? It takes 10,000 hours to be an expert at something, and we work about 1,500 hours a year, give or take. So really, you're not really an expert till you hit that lead level at like 7-ish years. So no reason to prematurely call someone a senior. This also means I don't recommend that people over negotiate titles when they are interviewing. All right. Denise E says, hello from your European neighbors in Barcelona. Well, hello. You would be roughly that away. Hello. Just northwest of me. I hope you are staying cool because it's pretty hot out here. Solomon says, the one that gets me, lead UX designer. How can one become lead if there's no team being led? Yeah, it's tough. Usually lead is a bit of a team leader or someone who is doing some mentoring or someone who is QAing other people's work and coaching. So there's got to be at least some of that going on at that lead level. Otherwise, it seems to be a title without a thing. So, okay, I am almost caught up on questions, which is great because we only have about 10 minutes left. And so if you have any questions, get them out there now. And then we will ask Sweta's question. I didn't forget you over on LinkedIn. Thanks for your patience. And this question says, what questions can candidates ask in an interview to understand design maturity at a company? How about non-designers understanding design? That's hard. You know, that's one of those things that I think people are bad at self-assessing. If you ask a non-designer if they understand UX, oh yeah, I know what UX is. Yeah, you guys are artsy-fartsy hipsters and you put blue boxes on screens and you put a checkbox where we need one. So I think that many people think they know what UX is and they kind of don't. So I wouldn't ask, do non-designers know what design is? You're going to hear, yes, they do. And I try not to ask questions that have the obvious answer, even if the answer is a giant fake lie. I like to call those questions, is a cat's urinary tract health important? And that comes from an American TV commercial in the 90s where a guy's got a cat and they zoom in on him and he says, is a cat's urinary tract health important? And my thought was always, there's only really one answer to that question. The other answer should kind of disqualify you from owning a cat. So whenever I feel like a question only has one possible answer or one likely answer, I just don't bother asking it. Like I don't ask companies, what's the culture here? Oh, it's great. No one's going to be like, you know, we're kind of effed up right now and you don't want to work here. Owen says, thank you. You're welcome, Owen. So questions to ask about design maturity. And again, we're going to do a whole show about this in about a month with the always awesome Julia DeBari. But I would say a couple of previews there would be, what's your UX process? If you hear, oh, we do design sprints or we do design thinking, or we like to have people wireframe things so engineers can get it out quickly. Not much of a UX process. What's your company's approach to UX research? You want to hear that they are doing research and that designers and engineers are waiting for the research outcomes, reports, insights, opportunities. I have lots of people who come to office hours and tell me I'm doing research, but designers are designing and engineers are building. They're not even waiting for my research, so what's the point? So we want to find that out. A question I like to ask is, who's my boss? Who's my manager? If your manager is not a UX pro, and look them up on LinkedIn, get their name, look them up on LinkedIn. If your reaction is, oh, wow, I can't wait to work for that person and learn from them. Or if your reaction is, they have how many years of experience? In what? But, you know, because sometimes people have been promoted to manager and because people think UX is a lot of art, sometimes it's an artist. Now, that doesn't mean every artist is a bad UX manager, but unfortunately, Many artists are bad UX managers because they tend to focus more on the visuals. But again, if you can get lucky with a good one, that's great. But check out that manager, find out who it is, check them out. I would say those are some good questions to ask. Anybody think of any other good questions that we can ask during an interview to try to understand the maturity? Yeah, I mean, all the other questions I usually think of are very cat's urinary tract health. Like I'd love to ask, which wins, customer needs or business goals? But everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, we're all about the customer. So I'm not sure we're going to get honesty there. It hurts. What are these weird emails I'm getting? Your Dropbox will renew. Dear you. I like that. Dear you. Okay. And what is this? Your subscription. Due to recent changes, you must relink your account. What? Once relinked, active subscriptions will continue. Do I have to do this? Frequent last questions. Do I have to do this? I'm just going to delete that. Any other last questions? Since we have a few more minutes, I'm happy to answer any questions. This is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. And of course, you can join every Tuesday. Usually the second Tuesday of each month has Darren and Dr. Nick as we do the Three Musketeers Take Your Questions. But Darren was busy this week, so we have moved that to next Tuesday, the 17th, in case you're wondering, where are my Three Musketeers? They have been moved to next week. And okay, meeting's getting canceled. And let's see what else. Let's check the calendar for stuff that's coming up. Remember, you can also check the calendar for stuff that's coming up, deltacx.link/events. It's a cheesy Google calendar, but it will show you what's happening. Tomorrow's our Slack monthly networking. So we do a little video call thing on Air Meet for people to meet each other. Friday's my reaction stream. Monday's a micro lesson on how I set up screener surveys when I am doing my research recruiting. Tuesday is double office hours, 10 a.m. Italy time and 6:30 p.m. Italy time with Darren and Dr. Nick, only on the second one. Wednesday, no stream. Thursday, no stream. Friday, reaction stream. Monday the 23rd, Michelle Ronson will be back to talk about moderated versus unmoderated research. And then Wednesday, I'll do a matching micro lesson, setting up unmoderated research. Okay, we've got a question from Nick, who probably knows the answer, but let's paste it anyway and talk about it. Okay, Nick says, let's put it up on the screen with a big picture of him if he's loaded one in. Yes, he has. What is a good way to show the value of UX to your non-UX colleagues when you're new to UX? Okay, so lots of value of UX stuff is in episode 116. Everybody knows when I say episode 116, you have to drink. So this is lemonade. Episode 116 is long and has a lot of different advice, but it's in there. Basically, I believe that the best way to show the value of UX is to speak the business's language. Now, traditionally, that means someone shows up. Oh, thank you, Vazia. Thank you so much. So sweet. Thank you. That is now going to chocolate chips. I've decided I'm not going to eat as much cheese, but I will eat chocolate chips. So thank you for adding to the chocolate chips fund. So a lot of people think at this point I'm going to say ROI. We have to show that UX creates ROI. But I think there's a problem with that, and I discuss it in that episode. And that is that very often once we have created a product or a feature, everyone takes credit for it. Project managers, product managers, engineers, maybe even marketers. It's very hard to say, wait a minute, UX gets credit for this, we created ROI. It's very tough. Unless you are working really closely with a marketing team and you've got lots of KPIs and metrics and analytics, and you can say, okay, marketing came to me with this problem. We solved this problem. Oh, thank you again. What are you doing? Thank you. That is so sweet. A double tip. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. The cup is filling up. Thank you. Very sweet. Extra chocolate chips tomorrow. Um, unless we worked very directly on a marketing project where we can say, aha, marketing came to us with a problem, we solved the problem, and holy cats, look at the outcomes. But as soon as everybody gets involved, and it's hard for us to go, no, wait, that was our win. So what I've been telling people is I think the better way to show the value of UX is to speak the business's language, which means we have to say, everybody repeat after me, I don't have a graphic for this yet, business intelligence and risk mitigation. The real value of good user experiences, customer experiences, and really the whole arc of it. All of the reason we're doing research, all of the reason we care about having the right content, all of the reason why we want good information architecture, organization, navigation, all of the reason we care about the interaction design and prototype and test it and fix it and the QA of UX and try it again and make it better and brand it up. We're doing all of this for those outcomes, but the problem is we can't always take direct credit for them. So we have to show how we set up. We set up the team for better outcomes because we bring business intelligence to the team through our research. We bring risk mitigation to the team through our research and through our design work and other work that you just saw along the circle. By doing our work and testing it early and improving it early before engineering has built it, we are walking, talking risk mitigation. Because you have to remember, without that, you've got what most companies do now, which is, what should we build? Let's try this thing. I think people will really like this thing. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, now let's just build it and put it out there and find out later if people like it. Believe it or not, I talk about this in episode 116. We actually say that common sprint goals from engineers say, we believe that what we're building or working on in this sprint has value to the customer, and we'll determine this later through, some sort of feedback. And it's like, well, holy cats, that's incredibly not lean. That's incredibly not agile. We're going to guess now and hope and believe that this has value and find out later that maybe it didn't. Super risk. That's why working with us early is risk mitigation. Reframing the MVP so that oh, thank you, Solomon. Very sweet. Thank you so much. It's all about that. So again, episode 116 is the very long version of this, but I believe that we are going to get much farther in promoting UX with business intelligence and risk mitigation. We are setting up companies and teams to make better strategic decisions, prioritize better, things like that. Nick says it's the due diligence needed before engineering. Episode 116, drink. Yes, and episode 116 was actually part 2 of a two-parter. So there's episode 115. And together they are 4.5 hours. So think of them as a completely free mini conference adventure. Yes, drink again. Sean says, I campaign for advocacy, not credit, and that means helping other departments succeed and take credit. In the current state of UX maturity, getting grassroots advocacy is the best way to grow. I think Sean's got a good idea too. I also say you can find in my conference sessions playlist, there's something called transforming towards customer centricity, parentheses, marketing version. If you find that in the playlist for conference sessions, that's the talk that I did earlier this year at a marketing conference. And I remind marketing that we are happy to make them look good, and we know in return they'll make us look good, but we're happy to partner with marketing who's got money and KPIs and things they are under big pressure to improve that really are part of the customer experience that are kind of outside marketing's realm, but we gave it to marketing because we thought they shepherd customer satisfaction. We can make them look good. And Sean's right. We can make everybody look good. But right now, my thing for this year is business intelligence and risk mitigation. That is what we do. Sure, we do it through research and content and information architecture and some things that are a little bit fuzzy and mysterious or seem artsy fartsy to people. But we just, another thing I remind people in my shows is, oh my God, Solomon. Oh my gosh, Solomon just gave $10. That is too generous. That is like way too many chocolate chips. That's like a week of chocolate chips. Thank you so much. I buy the expensive chocolate chips. Thank you, Solomon. Super sweet. Yeah, thank you for hosting these. Gotta go, he says. All right. Well, I hope we'll see you again soon. I'm always happy to see you here. And yes, we gotta have you on the show someday. Hey, you should be on the panel with people who work in UX, with Nick and Sophie. What do you say? Write to me. Tell me. So, Nick, I hope that gives you and your mentees some ideas there, but that's what I'm pushing this year. I think business intelligence and risk mitigation is going to get us listened to way more than delight and empathy. I create delight. I have empathy. I think that's bad. I think that delight is a side effect of creating a good experience, creating a good interface, creating a good product. And empathy is a giant bunch of crap at this point. Yeah, Sean says vomit. Exactly. We've got a question from Sandra, which we will fit in, and then we will have to sign off because I'm running late, so we'll make Sandra's question the last one. We're going to squeeze it in. Uh-oh, did someone send me an email and I missed it? No. Other than the confirmations of people donating today. Thank you so much again. Super sweet. Okay, so we've got Sandra. Oops, and let's put Sandra up on the big board. Here we go. S. Giant S. Hello, my name's Sandra. Hello, I'm Debbie. What would you say are the main difficulties UX designers and researchers face when conducting tree tests, like having participants finding destinations in a menu structure? Thank you. I know tree tests. So the main difficulties when conducting tree tests, I would say, and I actually do this in when I do my talks and workshops for engineers, I give them a tree test and I purposefully write the tree test badly. And they all struggle with the tree test. And then I reveal, number one, aren't tree tests cool? I bet you never heard of them. And the audience is like, that was cool. That was really helpful. Wow, you'd really learn a lot about how to make that navigation or organization better. And then I go, and by the way, I specifically wrote these questions to trick you. So and so I think the main difficulties people face in tree tests is writing the test badly. Sometimes they're under pressure to validate something. Oh, with this better validate, we're running out of time. Write the test that will make this look good enough. I think that's probably the number one problem I see, though. If anybody in the chat room sees other problems with tree tests, please chime in. I'm happy to hear your take on this. But I think that the things that I see that are usually bad is either by accident or on purpose, the tree test is written badly. And I'll give you the example that I use in mine. I am actually using the hierarchy from Apple.com's Latin America site in 2018, because that's when I wrote this, and I haven't bothered updating it because it works so well. And it's kind of when AirPods were still new. And what Apple had done at the time was they only had them on the Apple website under Mac. So you'd think they might be under music. You'd think they might be under accessories. They were only under Mac. And so what I do is I copied the Apple hierarchy into my tree test system, and I gave people the tree test question, and everybody's going to yell out what's wrong with this question as soon as I say it. You are interested in AirPods for your iPhone. I'm waiting. Why is that a bad question? Who can type the fastest? No prizes will be given. Though please do remember to enter our giveaway, deltacx.link/giveaway. I will be giving away a box of Italian pasta and cookies. Please make sure your country can receive boxes of Italian goodies from Italy. Please only enter once. I will draw somebody in early September, so don't forget to enter the giveaway. Sean says that's not a question. Sandra, Kristen, and Nick says leading. That's true. So yes, Sean's right. It wasn't phrased as a question, but I think in the case of what I'd written, and I'm not looking at it right now, I think it was like, I think they were all phrased as like, where would you go to learn more kind of thing. So you're right, there needed a question there. But I started with, you're interested in AirPods for your iPhone. And of course, what the tree test shows is that the diehard Apple fans went right to Mac. And everybody else starts going, they're the sheep let out of the gate and they're running all over the farm. And of course, a lot of them go straight to iPhone because I biased the test. I led you. I threw iPhone in there, and that made a lot of people go straight to iPhone. And so they're very surprised when they find out that that was not the right answer. Now, of course, it's a tree test. They technically didn't get it wrong. And I explained to them that. I say, you didn't get it wrong. I said, if I worked at Apple, I would have to take a look at this and go, wow, sure are a lot of people looking for AirPods on the iPhone page. Shouldn't we put something about AirPods there? I said, so, you can learn from this and you can improve what you're working on. And that's really the right thing to do with a tree test. You don't want to accidentally prove or disprove something. Clouder says, including product names in a question also assumes you know what the products are. That's true. I was assuming that since we were pretending this was the Apple site and most people had heard of AirPods, that I didn't have to say headphones or earbuds or something like that. So I did use the product name in that case. No one has ever said to me, what's an AirPod? So I guess Apple did pretty well with marketing that, but you're totally right. The brand name could also throw people if it is a brand name that people are not familiar with, but mostly it was that it was a leading question. The other one I do is the same Apple site, and I say like, you're interested in, is it the Logic Pro question? I think it's a question that you want to record, you want to do home recording and you want Logic Pro. And Apple had it in a really weird place in the hierarchy. Like, I didn't have to totally fake this test. Apple had a really ugly hierarchy. I just had to look at this ugly hierarchy and write the questions that I knew would lead the most people to fail. So again, I teach this is usually an audience of engineers, and I teach them tree tests are cool and we should do them, and they fall in love with them. And I go, but the reason why you're not doing them, the reason why other people aren't doing them is because they might accidentally write these skewed questions either by accident because they're not familiar with good questions, or on purpose because they're really hoping to prove something right or prove something wrong. I could very easily have said, you're looking for AirPods to use with your Mac. Totally biased. All right, so Sandra, I hope that helps. Be careful of accidentally or on purpose biasing people with leading questions that help them know where in the hierarchy to look or where not to look. I would say that's probably the main mistake I see in tree test universe, and that's the way that I teach it to non-UX people. And remember, I don't teach non-UX people to do our jobs. I have all of these crafty, wacky things that I walk them through to show them how hard our jobs are, and that even the way you ask the question can ruin the whole thing. Sandra says, thanks so much. Thanks to you for coming. You seem new here. So anyway, that is it for this. We do this every week. I'll see everybody next week. Thanks for staying 10 extra minutes. I will play us out of here, but of course, these are always archived. You can always ask your questions ahead of time at deltacx.link/ask. I save all the questions for the next one, which will be next Tuesday. Don't forget, next Tuesday will be an extra long version with Darren and Dr. Nick. So you'll be able to ask the three of us any questions that you have. You can direct a question at one of us or more than one of us, and we are here helping you out for free. And that's it. So I guess I'm going to play us out of here. But everybody, I'm starting to hear about people hanging out with family and doing stuff with friends and wanting to travel for summer. And then I'm hearing about everybody having the Delta variant, even if they were vaccinated. So I know it's boring as hell, but please stay home, wear masks, be safe. There's nothing more important than your safety and your health. If you don't have that, you might not be here for anything else. Stay alive. Don't spread COVID. Please be home and bored. Hang out with me on YouTube. It's free. We have some laughs and we drink a little bit. And Nick says, arrivederci, but then he says, gracias, which is Spanish. Grazie, Nick. Thanks for the question and see everybody tomorrow? No, tomorrow is going to be Slack networking. See you Friday. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are